Good morning, Tony Dattino, Chairman of the USA Memory Championship, and I am just delighted to know that tomorrow, July the 28th, will be, like that, July the 29th, will be our 24th qualifying event for the USA Memory Championship. And as I was reviewing some of the details with Karen Pinson yesterday, we have got 60 people who are registered to compete, and the age range is wide. We've had a number of people in their 70s that have inquired and may be competing in our event tomorrow. And that is exciting because the whole purpose of the Memory Championship was to let people know that at any age, you could improve your memory. And therefore, having a wide range of people, from teenagers to adults, is what the event is all about, to demonstrate to people that at any age you can improve your memory. So where does that bring me? Well, we've been very fortunate during the COVID years that we have been able to partner with Lumos Labs, which is better known as Lumosity, and Memory League, the folks from Memory League who have put games together and applications that will allow us to host the events virtually, which then brought more people into the competition. And as more people came into the competition, we got a broader range of ages, and we had a broader range of life experiences and what people do. It has taken quite a bit of planning. One of the challenges that Karen was telling me about is that people need to use the same email address that we will sign them up for, because we take a listing of the registrations and we send that off to Lumos Labs and we send it off to Memory League so they can set up the accounts for the people that are registering. And that if they were to have two different emails and they sign on tomorrow with a different email than they sent to us on the registration, then we get a mismatch. So we ask everybody to sign in at 11:30 tomorrow so that we can reconcile anybody signing in on Zoom that doesn't see that their accounts are going to be activated at 12 o'clock to compete in the events of the day. And so Memory League has got their list of words and their names and faces and events, and then Lumos has got a couple of their memory games that they put out. And at the end of the afternoon tomorrow, we will have our finalists that will be invited to Winter Park, Florida, to compete for live on September 23rd at Full Sail University. And that event will be recorded on the 23rd, and it will be broadcast back out on the 24th. With feedback we've gotten from prior years, we've decided to edit the version that more and more people will stay in tune to. So what I'm learning is we want to obviously have people watch the event and stay with it longer, and so therefore we've decided we'll do the live event on one day and we'll then edit and people can see it the next, hopefully before they find out who won the event, so that they are surprised and they watch it with intensity and get to see it. I do that sometimes with baseball games or football, especially in the football season. On a Sunday afternoon I go about my activities, and then I'll come home that evening and tape it and just make sure I don't listen to any of the sports broadcasting or look at any headlines on the computer. So that's what we're planning to do, and we think that our goal is to increase the number of people that are then watching the actual competition and watching it for a longer period of time. And I'm learning these things from my tech team in terms of number of views and how long each view averaged, and we actually got significantly better last year in people staying engaged much longer, and we're just trying to increase that again. So I'm learning and learning about technology and how that goes along. So we start tomorrow at noon. We invite all of our mental athletes to come on board at 11:30. We want to make sure that they're able to access the events in both applications. We then will begin, if all goes well, by 12 o'clock, maybe 12:05, and off we go with the qualifying events. Now, when they go off screen, so I want to make sure people understand this if they tune in on our Zoom, which will be posted on our USA Memory Championship website, they will go off screen and they will do their games, and they will then we'll score those, and then we'll come back at the end of each game. We'll bring everybody back to the Zoom, and they will get to see who the top scorers were. In the background, Michael Dattino has got a spreadsheet. He takes those scores and he drops them into a spreadsheet. And as each event accumulates over the afternoon, we have a formula that evaluates each event and where you placed in it, and we score what we call qualifying points. And so it depends upon how well people are doing in all 5 events. You can jockey positions around as to who those top people will be. Normally the top 2 or 3 stay fairly stable throughout, but what's important are the folks that are in the 10 to 15 range, because those bottom 5 spots can really make a difference in who gets to come to Winter Park, Florida, and possibly go play in Disneyland for a day, or Universal Studios, or SeaWorld, but who gets to have an invite in September versus who gets to stay home. But what I always say to people is the fact that you've competed in the event, from my perspective, already has declared you a winner in the game of life. Because if there's one thing I've learned over the 24 years of doing the USA Memory Championship and meeting with people and doing workshops and seminars and things, is there are very few people that really want to compete in a memory competition because they feel it might be embarrassing to their intelligence. And so I was reading a magazine article this morning that talked about, hey, don't get too worked up about that, because the average person's IQ is between 85 and 115, so don't get too worked up over where you are. But a memory competition is certainly a way that you can learn skills that actually will help you with your memory, and this is what this is about. Memory is a verb. It's an it's an action item of things that you can learn, that you can participate in, you can study and practice, and you can improve your memory, which then will help you with your schoolwork. It might help you with your professional work. It may help you in meeting people. We have an event, Names and Faces, so wouldn't it be important for people to remember names and faces of their business associates and people that they do business with on a regular basis? I mean, there are just so many different applications to the events that we have in real life, which is really the key to what we're doing. I want to close out my morning today and welcome all of you to participate in observing, or the participants tomorrow. But I wanted to at least put you on notice for what we'll obviously Monday be talking about the competition, but then I want to pick up a magazine from National Geographic's, a user's guide, 100 things that you didn't know about your brain. And the thing that we're doing tomorrow really points to the learning brain. So I just want to read a little bit about this and have people realize a couple of points here. The brain constantly rewires itself to become an organ that is physically different from what it was in the preceding moment. Now stop and think about that. Okay, the brain is constantly rewiring, meaning it's changing, it's thinking, it's learning, its conversations, different from where it was in the preceding moment. So as you've listened to this broadcast, I would hope that there are a few things I've said and I've talked to you about that maybe have an impact in your brain from when you first put this on. And this is what learning and education and creativity and spontaneity is all about. It never rests. It never rests. It churns through new experiences daily, incorporating some into its network of store information and discarding others. And we mostly do that during our sleeping hours when we're pruning. We call this pruning the thoughts and the things you saw and observed during the day, and putting them into priorities of what you want to retain and put into long-term memory. And we have a whole teaching session we define as long-term memory rhythms. The creation of memories now creates personal and social identity, and when disease and disorder rob the brain of memory and language, they take away what makes each of us as unique and individual people. And I get to see that in some work that we're currently doing on people with early cognitive impairment or dementia. And what people most worry about is losing that identity, that remembrance of themselves. Learning and memory work together. So I always say, people, if you want to learn and improve your learning to learn, then my goodness, learn some memory techniques, and that would certainly help you. And learning is transformed into lasting memories, as experiences that receive Nobel Prizes have said. Foundations of memory draw learning distinctions. So learning is how you acquire new information about the world, and memory is how you store that information over time. So memory obviously is a crucial ingredient as we have this thought process of I want to constantly learn in a changing world. And I just found that the issue of your brain has 100 things you never knew was fascinating. And here's the good or bad of this. As I always say, hey, did you get that issue? Did you get that article? This came out in February of 2016. So here we are 7 years later, and the lessons that were put into this are still being uncovered in the neuroscience that takes place in universities. And all the USA Memory Championship intends to do is to demonstrate principles that are found in something like this, with real people competing in real competitions that show that anybody can do this, and that anybody that competes in this is already what I call a winner in the game of life. Have a nice weekend, and we shall see you maybe tomorrow, but certainly back here on Monday.